Hello!
Right, I'm down here working, so this is a really quick lesson about a couple of bits and pieces, alright? So first off, you can tell, this has just been cut from a tree I'm working on behind here that's fallen over due to rotting base. Okay, so it's a sycamore tree. Now I'm hoping most people in the UK can at least ID a sycamore. It's one of the most common and well-known trees, probably. So in winter, if you want to ID it, the best way is by the colour of its bark. It's quite a smooth bark, and it's literally, on the youngsters particularly, it's quite a golden brown. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera, but you should be able to see it on the trunk here. It does go greyish as the tree gets older, but it does keep that rich, deep, smooth brown bark on it. Now the bark, as it gets older, you can actually, especially if it's a fallen limb and the limb's seasoned a little bit, you can actually cut sheets off it, similar to how you do with the birch, by making incisions that way, and you can chisel it. It tends to be a bit more brittle. It's not like birch, it's not got the flex, but you could possibly use it for making carrying items, that kind of thing. You could use it over the top of a shelter, but again, it's finding a limb that's been down on the ground long enough that you can cut these sheets off. You can make superb sycamore wine with this by drilling into the trunk, collecting the sap around about March, April time. But in this case, one thing I wanted to tell you, okay, this is a cut log if you want, but one of the things I wanted to show you was, let's just say this is a tree permanently in the ground, okay? It's been growing here for years. Right, everything has, I've rubbed some dirt into it so you can see it, otherwise the thing with sycamore wood is it's very white when it's first cut, so you wouldn't have seen it. I'm hoping you can pick up in the mud the tree rings. Those tree rings are like a buck to what this tree has suffered, what this tree has grown like, the climate, everything about it. So when we've had big, huge volcanic eruptions the other side of the world that have affected the entire world, they're quite often found in a lot of ancient trees that they've cut. The rings will have some kind of interference, some kind of anomaly within it that says that there was a heavy dust cloud, or they can tell when summers weren't bright, they were dull summers, almost like a wintry summer if you want. They can read so much from tree rings. Now one of the things you can read from a tree ring, and please don't do it on a cut log section because it's a waste of time, but if you've got a tree that's been felled or you've cut one for this specific reason, you can navigate. Now the problem with it is obviously it's fixed, so once you leave that point you're going to have to find reference points to keep on that line, okay? But this will just give you an idea of where you're going. If you're at a fixed place, you know, no reason or no desire to move, you're going to be there for a while. If you want to know your south, your north, etc., apart from the stars, one of the ways is a tree ring. So basically you look at the tree rings and you'd look for where the rings are closest together, and that is always south. So okay, so whenever you look at a tree ring, if you're looking for a direction, dirty them up a little bit if you need to. Sometimes with age they actually, the pith comes from between the actual rings themselves. The rings are harder and you'll see the rings a lot more clearly, and at some point I'll see if I can find a tree trunk that really denotes the rings, but I'm hoping you can make them out on this. So you're looking for the rings that are really, really tight together. They do say about the moss growing on the north side of the trunk. That does work, but equally in some areas it doesn't necessarily work, and it's not one I would really rely on specifically for some serious navigation, okay? But this will give you an idea. That way you can set up lines from your camp, wherever it is you're stationary for a length of time, and you'll know where your south is, your north. And if you know your compass points, you're never actually lost. Okay, so sycamore, alright? Now, another thing I wanted to show you was this. Humble nettle, right? Nice young shoot, edible if you boil it, full of iron. Full of iron. You can make tea with this just simply by boiling it down. You can make rope by this, and one day I may show you how to do it. Basically what you do is you gather a whole pile of not too old, medium-aged nettles, gather a whole pile of them, you hang them out to dry, and once they're dried you basically run like a comb through them. So you make spikes, you get a piece of wood like this, You put spikes into that wood, and then what you do is basically you comb it until you get it right down to the fibres. It makes a very strong hemp rope. So that's another thing you can do with this. The eating bit, you boil it, okay? Now there's the funny rhyme, because most people are like, ugh, nettles. But actually, if you grasp them quite hard, the harder you grasp them, so if you just bang, the slighter the chance of you getting that tingling all day. Okay? Nettles are a fantastic thing. As I say, very, very good for iron. So we'll do some more work with nettles as time goes on, but this is just a really quick run through because I've got to cut this tree up behind me. Right. So while I was here, I thought I'd also show you, don't know whether you can see it, this clump of growth here. Okay? I'll show you when it starts to flower, spring, summer, because it has like a tall, spiky red flower on it. Not a huge flower, tiny. But this is Rumex acetosa, vinegar leaf. Okay? See the lanceolate shape of it? Now these are edible, and they've got a kick. Okay? Vinegar leaf for a reason. By Christ, it's got that shot of vinegar coming from it. As you can see, very edible. Boil them, or you can eat them raw in your salads. They'll certainly give you a bit of a kick. So, yeah, this is just literally, I don't know, maybe a 10-minute film footage. Rumex acetosa, vinegar leaf. I hate stripping through areas of this, because with you breaking the stems, that vinegar, that acid, is released into the air, and you actually do start to feel it in your nose and your mouth. It doesn't do you any harm, it's just, it's just not a pleasant feeling. So what I'm going to do is, actually, hang on, let me sprint off and get something which I had prepared earlier. Yee, back again. Ghostbeard. I've just taken this off the sycamore tree that's fallen. Ghostbeard is fantastic. Look at it. I love this stuff. It's a lichen. It takes a long time for it to develop and grow. Now, if you dry this stuff, you'll get a fire going quite easily. This you wouldn't, because obviously it's still wet. But if you dried it, but also you can see, make a good cloth, scrub in, cleaning yourself, soaping your bits and your areas that need cleaning, your armpits, that kind of thing, where if you're sleeping out in the bush, little grubs might get in there, okay? You can't really do much with it as rope. You can use it as a poultice and a dressing, so if you've got an open wound, once you've cleaned that wound out, you can actually use this and cover it possibly with large dock leaves, and that will keep it protected from dirt getting in there. So, yeah, don't you just love this stuff? Ghostbeard, right? Now I need to get back to work, so I'm going to cut this film short. I hope you've learned a little bit. I hope it was useful. Any questions, just send them my way. And as I say, as the year goes on, I shall show you the Rumex in flower. I'll show you some of the other stuff. We've got brambles here, see? In this one area alone. We've got nettles, so you can boil them down, get plenty of iron. Okay? You can eat young bramble leaves, a bit early yet, to be honest. These are a little bit coarse, because it's February. Alright, I don't go by calendars, so I never know what day it is. You can eat them. You can also eat young ivy leaves, but again, you want to be waiting until sort of March, early springtime. Ivy, you stop eating it when the berries start, and you don't eat too much of it. Okay, I can also make rope with this. I can make rope with the nettles, if I want, or cordage at least. So just in this one little area alone, there is so much. Even the grasses, it's pretty much the wrong kind of grass, but you can, when you get the long overwintered or years old grass where it forms long lengths, you can make grass with that. I'll show you how to do that at some point. I've got goat willow in the background. This place is full of it. The bark from that, you can strap things with that. It's very flexible, doesn't break. So that's fantastic. I'll show you that at a later point. So just in this small area of the woodland, I've got a lot that I can use. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your day, and I'm going to get back to sharpening my saw and then cutting the rest of this